Now is the moment that I know a lot of you have been waiting for. As I said, when preparing for this event, we asked the community, what is a topic that you want to see discussed? And the answer was complications. So let's do that now. Let's talk about complications. Now, I know a lot of us feel quite anxious about this topic, and at the same time, a lot of us see it as simple reality because they live with complications. I myself was diagnosed with complications a few years ago, and what helped me most back then was hearing and reading all those stories from other people, sharing their experiences, because that side I was never told about. I was only ever warned of preventing complications, but I had no idea what reality with that might look like. So that's why we decided to invite a number of people with complications to share their experiences with us. And the first person that I'm going to invite on stage is coming in live from Peru. I'm inviting Catherine.
Hi,
Kath. Great to have you here.
Love to.
So
to
complications is something that you feel strongly about this topic. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how this plays a role in your life.
Well, my journey starts 40 years ago. Yes, 4 decades ago, and it was a roller coaster because it was a roller coaster emotionally, mentally, and also medically. I had a lot of complications. As you said, I was not aware of the complications as before I had them. So these complications came into me all at once, and I was like, "Oh my God, what is happening to me?" I had retinopathy, neuropathy, nephropathy, and all this pathy and words. And one of the things that make me realize that I have to stop working and start saving my life was that in 2008, I got 2 tumors in the breast. This was an strange, not so common diagnosis as it is mastopathy. Mm-hmm. And it's a benign fibroinflammatory disease of the breast, but this is very few people have this, and is mostly seen premenopausal women with type 1 diabetes who may have other diabetes related complications. So what you just said about reading the experience of other people, peer support and everything, I was not so familiar with that, but I start looking for the community, because the doctor I saw, he told me, "Oh yes, I have read about that in my books while I was studying."
Oh,
but
wow.
I have never had a patient with that. So I have to be operated to have surgery or not. Then I discovered a blog in English, so I started to I'm in South America, so I started to this journey into looking for stories of other people. And there I found the blog of a girl that was my age and had this diagnosis. So she told that she got surgery, and after that, the tumors appears again. So what I decided was to make a very thorough I mean, sorry about that.
No
A
worries.
very thorough
Analysis.
visits to the doctor every 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
They made me a core biopsy, and it was hard. It is not fun to live with complications
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know what it is. It is, with all my complications, I just have fear, results, fear of the future, uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and knowledge, and hope, pain, everything at once.
Everything, yeah. And
Yes, all
something
the
that,
time.
yeah, and something that you feel strongly about is the connection between physical complications and mental health. Do you want to talk a bit about that when we're speaking about all
Yes,
these emotions?
yes. Well, I think every person that is diagnosed with diabetes may have, that's the ideal world, right? um, can have a psychology therapy, because when you have your diagnosis, I was 6 years old when I got diagnosed, and my world was upside down,
Mm.
and the world of my family was also upside down. But I never got help. I meant, so after all the things, after complications, after this fear of the future, what is going to be, why I'm having so pain, and why my doctors in my country do not do not know what I'm going through.
Mhm.
um I got in depression. So every single complication, the first one was retinopathy, and it was like, oh my god, I'm going blind. What is it? Uh, I am
Mhm.
scared. I have laser surgery. So I thought no one could understand me. But when I have these blogs, I found out that I was not so weird. I was not weird, and I know persons that have more than 30 years without complications, but in my case, I have a very poor treatment because I didn't have a glucometer. I have bobbing and bobbing insulin. I remember my mom boiling my glass syringe.
Mhm.
So it's surreal. It's Stone Age, and I'm not so big. I'm not so older, but it was great. A very hard work for me to work my mental health because of this depression and anxiety that I got. Mental health for me is so important.
Mhm.
We need to be more conscious of our emotions, what we feel. I had uh, type 1 diabetes for so many years, and 5 years back, I just realized I didn't accept my condition. And that was like, what? I didn't accept
Mhm.
my condition? No. Every day I woke up, I fight with diabetes. And that is really, really a lot of work. And now I am accepting, I
Mhm.
am every day, I have to accept not only diabetes, also the complications, and also what I have to do. So what I did was to get an insulin pump in the US. And in that in that fight, my family um, was a great help.
That
They
isn't,
are a great help.
yeah.
My family is my peer support, my first peer support. I mean, they encourage me. I think I've not been here if my dad didn't said, yes, I'm going to inject her insulin. Because in a third world country where when you are diagnosed, there are so many myths, tales, and everything about insulin that I thank my dad for that. And my mom.
Yeah, maybe that's the response to the question that we see right here on the screen. Where do you take your personal power from? What helps you stay positive? So I hear that your family has a big role to play there.
Yes, and I'm not always positive, you know. It's unreal to say that I have retinopathy, I have autonomic and neuropathy. Oh no, it's just that now I see life in another way, and I know I can give that to the community, my experience. For other people not to make the same mistakes I did because of misinformation, not diabetic education here, in no we have economic. You have to be in a position to buy things that the government don't give you and doesn't give you. So it is hard. It is hard, and we are fighting for insulin, not test strips. Insulin first.
Yeah.
And there are test strips also, but people want CGMs and insulin pumps. But we say, if you don't have a glucometer and insulin, how can you imagine to have an insulin pump? So
that is such an important topic that you're raising here. I mean, we've discussed access pretty much all night, and we always do, we always will. But with complications, my main learning was it's not your fault. And that was the hardest thing to accept for me. And I'm speaking as someone who lives in Germany, in a very rich country with a healthcare system where I have access to pretty much everything I need. It's still not perfect. But for me, the struggle was accepting my complications and accepting that they're not my fault. It's a completely different story for people living in other countries where access is an issue, and you can't even, if you don't have the tools, how are you supposed to reduce the risk of actually developing complications?
That's so true. That's so true. And what I wanted to say to the audience, people that live with diabetes and people that don't live with diabetes, is that diabetes complications are not our fault. I had a burden because I consider me a burden to my family for being so expensive, for insulin, injections, etc. And now I think we make things the best we can, and with all the tools we have. If we have more tools, it's going to be better. So we are going through this, and I hope that people can understand us when we have complications, and maybe we are in it's not that we failed in our treatment, is that complications can come. Some for some long-term complications. But yes, I live with complications, and I would like to, say you the peer support is the best.
Yeah, and thank you so much for that, because to the diabetes community out there, and I hope that you're seeing those comments as well, this is so inspiring. It's so important to hear. You're going to make me cry if one of us starts crying now. We're not going to do that.
No.
No, it is really so important to share these stories, and I know it means a lot to us, but also to everyone watching. So thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you.